Why are we real people being real?
Yeah.
So why are we?
Transparency is so important, especially.
Yeah.
I feel like in Christianity.
Yeah.
You just need to be transparent.
Yeah,
You know
I think in especially in the young adults, that is like when you go from youth to, I feel like in youth it's very let's get you started in your faith kind of deal, like let's get you introduced in it,
let's ignite a fire.
Yeah and then it just like flashes to like adult where it's like, okay, like you're established, you're this, you're that, you're like set in, you've experienced, but then not nobody ever talks about it, but it's very kind of uncommon. Yeah. I feel like to see the full transparency of like, what's it like in the middle?
Yeah. It's like, and I feel like a whole lot of people don't see the ugliness of Christianity. Yeah. In your walk with God. And so I do think it's really, because a lot of people do think, I know for me, for a while, I thought I'm alone in this. What I'm going through, no one really is dealing with. And it was like, everyone's really going through the same thing. Like, for real. And so if we're just being transparent, I feel like also we just earn each other's trust. And yeah.
Because, well, that's the thing is like, that's why it's real people being real, because it's such a not common, but it's such like a almost simple phrase, but it's just like, we're just going to be real with each other. Because if you're fake, we were kind of talking about it, I think, either on Sunday or at youth or young adults. Yeah. It was like, if you're going to fake it, then don't even. Like, there's no point. It's just going to take even more effort out of you to fake it. Right. And
I think Christians do tend to put on like a really nice face. And if you don't, there's something wrong. And because it's kind of frowned upon to not be okay.
Yeah.
And so,
well, it's like, because it's like God gives you so much joy and like faith. Yeah. There is joy in having faith. Yeah. And it's like,
there's so much judgment.
Okay,
yeah, there's so much judgment that comes with you going through something. And it's like, oh, they're just not walking in God's like plan or something, which, we could get into that, but it's a little too soon.
But yeah, well, we kind of talked about this last night, actually, about the whole when you're first on fire for God, and when you first feel the like that spark. Yeah. And then there's the times where you're maybe doubting, struggling, going through something hard. And that's kind of what we were just saying is like, there's both. And that's like, it's important to show both and be transparent and be real.
And if you're not being real and transparent, how do you expect to get help from other people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just have to be completely, and I mean, don't just like open up to everyone, but like
trauma dump and be like, hey, listen to this.
Honestly, but like, just be real. If you really, need help by a fellow Christian. Yeah. And I think it's super healthy in a setting like Movement Toledo. Yeah. When we gather, I think it's really healthy.
Well, that's because it started out as, so real people being real is Movement Toledo's slogan, if you can call it a slogan, more like a, I don't know. I think a slogan is a good word. Yeah. It's just like our little like if you were to look it up and be like, I wonder what this is. And then it just says like, it gets you interested. It gives you a little like look into kind of who we are in a sense, like very simple. And the verse that we have the verse for Movement Toledo, the one that we kind of like live by, what would you say? Like,
her little like, kind of like if anyone really needs to know what we're biblically about.
Yeah. It's the First Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech and conduct, in love and faith and in purity, which is like, it's
really good.
Legit. I think probably the best verse you could pick for like a young adult. Yeah. Like to represent who they are, what they're about. Yeah. So I love that.
And what we're stepping into for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it really is like, I think the biggest thing, I kind of like put this in my notes. It's like, being young doesn't mean you can't make a difference. And I feel like that's what this verse like screams.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, our church does really well with like raising up young people.
Yeah, I love it because it's like, don't wait to make a difference. Kind of like we were talking.
So many people wait till they're like, oh, when I'm 18 or when I'm 19 or when I actually officially become an adult, I'm going to take it really seriously.
Yeah.
You know, it does not matter. Jesus was he was a little teen in the temple preaching to the priests. So it's like,
well, and it's like making a difference when you are young almost has more power because it's showing like people, not in a mean way or in a way that they're looking down on you necessarily, but it's just like, typically you don't think that maybe a 12-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old has like much to offer in the sense of like, oh, they're really wise, they know all this, or they know, you know, they can set an example, because we're taught, you know, you're still learning when you're younger.
Right. And I like, there is so much I can learn from like my little sister.
Yeah.
She's like 12, 13. I listen to her talk and I'm like, oh my word, I forgot to look at it like that.
Yeah.
Like you forget how you looked at things as a child or with, you know, a young teen, you know, through the eyes of a kid.
Yeah.
Things are really different. And I think, there's so much I can learn from Giovanna. It's like, it's wild.
It's insane. I feel the same way about, I think I've said this before.
And it's stuff I already know. It's just like, wow, it's just like, it's revelatory again.
Yeah, because it's like you didn't, it feels when somebody else is saying something to you, it feels almost like as fresh of a revelation as it did when you thought of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is insane. I get that a lot from, I've said this a lot of times and I'll never shut up about it, but Penelope, my little sister, it's not necessarily it's more of the way that she looks at the world, because she looks at the world with such innocence and such like the typical, like what you would,
and it's honestly kind of how Jesus sees the world.
That's what I was gonna say.
You know,
it's like
through the lens of
childlike,
Jesus. Yeah.
It's the innocent and like the seeing the good in everybody, and not
because you don't have a perverted, like distorted lens from your, you know, everything you've gone through. Yeah, it's just like you don't have that yet, and everything's just so new and beautiful. Yeah,
which is insane. Like I love it, and like you said, like it just brings a new, not new, but like.
Just it's refreshing. Yeah.
I love it.
For sure.
So.
Did you have another verse? Was there more?
About.
Just the young, how God can use us.
Let's see. I did have the Psalm 145:4 that kind of just talks about like one generation looking at the one above them and watching how they praise the Lord and like using that as an example. I think that was the only one that specifically talks about like generation or like young, referring to age type deal. But that was that.
Yeah. And I think like our church is really good with the multi, you know, generations. It's really our church, we have like 80-year-olds with, you know, tween like young people, and it's just like I love it. It's great.
I think it's such a reflection of everyone's a child of God in the sense that like the 80-year-old is just as much of a child of God as the legit child is. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
like we're all
spirit.
equal in that sense.
For
that
sure.
Like it's us and then there's God.
Yeah,
you know. I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What drink you got there? What do you got? Because I kind of want to open up mine.
Oh yeah, you didn't.
Yeah, we didn't do these. So we're gonna have a drink of the day or drink of the week, since we're doing this once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know, mine never changes though. So
well,
mine's drink
maybe
of the
doing this we'll learn a little bit variety. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I should get. Hey Emerson, get a little bit.
So
more
what
variety.
Is yours? Let's see.
Mine is Juneberry, the summer edition Red Bull.
Yeah.
And
mine
yours is
Starbucks Double Shot Energy Mocha flavored.
Wow, now that's a mouthful.
God bless you.
Do it.
Yeah.
The ASMR Yeah, put this away.
Wow, that's really good. Anyway.
The ASMR that just...
We love ASMR.
That just held. So, how was your day?
It was okay. I got 5 to 6 hours of sleep last night, so work wasn't horrible. I got through it without an energy drink, surprisingly.
Could never.
I know. I don't know how I did it. It was the grace of God, for real. His divine enablement.
Literally.
But yeah, I mean, my week's been okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It
is only Thursday.
Great.
Well, only Thursday. It's like, I mean.
Something like that. How's your day, Emerson?
My day was good. I got really good sleep. Which is rare.
Can't relate, but you know.
Which is rare. I mean, just because I'm so busy, but I keep myself busy. Yeah. It's not like I'm busy. It's just like I like keeping myself busy. Yeah. So I guess that also comes with like a lack of sleep.
Yeah. But yeah.
I can't get through my
days without...
Jet-lagged
24/7. Right here.
I can't get through my days without an energy drink. I'm going to be honest.
I mean, the days I don't work, I'm fine. Like, I try not to.
Yeah.
Just because a couple weeks ago, I got hooked on a certain energy drink, and I was, like, going through withdrawals, and it was, like, bad. So I was like, I'm going to wean myself off, you know.
You were like,
I got to depend on God, you know.
For real.
Yeah, for real.
I have a question for you. Do you, on your way into work, do you listen to worship music?
See, my truck is from 03, so I don't have an aux, but I do have a radio. So I do listen to like Proclaim FM and what's the other one? Proclaim FM and K-Love.
Yes.
I love those. You know, the music, sometimes, you know, it's all good.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I try to do. I really don't. That's a topic for...
Do you drive in silence?
I don't.
Thank God.
I hate it. Unless I'm on my phone.
I was going to say, if you drive in silence, unless you're like having a hard day, obviously. But then it's like, if you drive in silence, no shame, but
it's kind of gross.
I literally can't drive in silence. I have to have background noise.
Yeah.
Does your car have one of those like, the cigarette lighter port?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I know. I need to. Ricky has one.
I was going to say, I have one. And I even have an aux cord spot, but... I wanted Bluetooth so bad to charge my phone at the same time. Yeah. First world problems, I know.
But it does. They do make.
It does.
They make one.
Yes.
That does both. I know. I've seen them at.
But I got the Bluetooth one. Get it, because having control over your music is amazing.
I know. I need to.
And the only reason I ask.
I just don't want to spend the money. You know. I just don't.
It's $20.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've seen some for 40. I don't know why.
Oh no, go to Walmart. That's where I got mine for $20.
Nice.
It connects to a radio
station.
Tip of the day. Go to Walmart and get yourself one of those Bluetooth things, because it'll save your first world problems.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, I mean, that's what I try to do. I normally listen to a Christian radio station, just to start my day off. You know, like devotions. You know, that's great and all. That should be everything I need, but. You know, just need a little music, and I'd rather listen to some uplifting stuff instead of, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the only reason I ask that is because I try to strictly only listen to like worship music in the morning, specifically on my way into work to like set the tone for my day.
Yeah.
And when I don't, like I've noticed where I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. Like I can play Morgan Wallen, and then I like play something
and
else.
Your day's ruined.
No, and it's like, I'm not kidding. It's like not that I was like in a bad mood or anything, but I can notice like the difference when I don't immediately start off my day with with that. And I
notice a big difference if I don't start off my day with at least spending some time with the Lord.
Yeah.
Like it's so bad. And if I skip a day, I'm a monster.
Yeah.
Like without Jesus. You know?
It's insane because I do that. At the certain street light that I pass, I start my like morning prayer. Like I give myself a minute to wake up.
Oh, that's really cool.
And literally every time I pass like this certain street light by this gas station on my way into work, I'm like, all right, so I turn the music down a little bit, and then I just kind of like pray to God before I go into work, just for the day, whatever. And when I don't do that, like what you said, like when I don't do that, I'm a monster.
For sure. For sure.
I walk into work and they're like, hey, Emerson, like, is everything okay? And I'm like, wow, you noticed.
Yeah, it's like the fruit changes drastically.
And it's not like I'm walking around insulting people or anything, but it's just, you can tell it.
It's just a vibe. It's literally just.
You can tell it in like the way that somebody lives. Literally.
Yeah, for sure. Fun fact about me, I do my devotions at night before I go to bed. Just because, I don't know, my mind, I literally cannot do anything in the morning.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I wait till the evening to do my devotions, to spend some like real quality time with the Lord. In the morning, it's just like, I'm going to schedule. At night, at like 9 o'clock, if I'm home.
Yeah.
If I'm home, normally I've been getting home at like 11 o'clock, 12, but I'm like, you know what, it's okay. I'm just going to do it anyway. It's a noticeable difference if I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do the same. I have to do it not always in the evening, but typically it's like before bed. Because in the morning I can't. Like, I'll usually. Hey guys. Perfect.
All right, sorry guys, we're back.
And we're going to keep going.
Our light kind of dimmed a little bit. No, it's all good. This is our producer, by the way. He's behind the camera. He does, the producer, the Gabe J. Cole.
The Gabe J. Cole. I love
the mastermind. You should see it behind the camera. It literally looks like it's. I can't wrap my mind around it. Yeah, for real. Check her Instagram. Oh.
Okay, so check the Instagram at
We're
Movement
gonna get a mic
Toledo.
for our producer for real.
At Movement Toledo. It'll be on the screen.
Yeah, just
or
a
in the
little
description
tidbit.
below.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe. It'll be in the
yeah. By the way, guys, it really helps the algorithm.
Link in the description below.
What were we talking about? Oh, spending time with Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what else would we be talking about? As we should. As we should.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wait.
And I've been also trying to. I heard on Instagram there was a pastor and he was like, it was Benny Hinn. It was Benny. Do you know Benny Hinn?
Yes.
Love Benny Hinn. He's like, I spend, I wake up with the Bible and I end the night with the Bible. I'm like, ding, light bulb. I need to start doing that. That's a great idea.
Well, you know what I heard? I don't know who it was from, what pastor, whatever.
Yeah.
And I saw it a couple of times, like in like references on like TikToks or like clips of sermons. Like literally it was like, what if we walked everywhere with our Bible the same way we walk everywhere with our phones? Like, you know how when you get in the car and say you forget your phone, you literally that's why the Bible's got to be here. No, that's why it's got to be in your head. For real. That's why. Yeah. But it's like, what if, and like how like, when you're like awkward in a conversation or a situation, you pull out your phone and you're like, no. And he was like, what if we pulled out our Bible? What if you just pulled out your Bible? Conviction at its finest. I'm not kidding. Now, even if I know you pull out your phone, you're like, what? No, I have like my little like backpack of things for the day. Yeah. I'm not kidding. I felt so like, I almost feel like gross about myself. Like I don't bring my Bible everywhere. Like what? Yeah. So I'm not kidding. The next day, I made sure to put one of my like smaller Bibles that I have in my bag. Okay. Even if I knew that like my day was going to be packed and I would not get a break at work or I would not have time or I would be driving all day. Right. I just had it with me. That's actually a great idea. Listen up, listeners. No, and I just... Honestly. Yeah, it's just one of those... I also heard that somebody keeps... Not somebody I know, but I saw on the internet as well. Somebody keeping a Bible in their car just to have it in their car. Like, just to have it in their car. Never getting in a wreck. Like, no, like, for real. Got my protection. In, like, the back seat of the... Like, the little pocket. Strapped insecure. Has a seatbelt. Oh, has a car seat. Yes. Me puts it in one of those top. I mean, it's valuable. You have a mirror. You know those baby mirrors that like reflect back when you see your kid? It's you're, like, that on the Bible. Constantly checking up on it like, hey, we good? Are we all good back there? We good? Right? Yeah. That's hysterical. Yeah, that's so funny. I love that. Big conviction there. Yeah. big conviction.
Mega conviction. Don't you love conviction? I personally love to be like, I love conviction. I love a call to change. Like, have you like listening?
At it in a very positive, which is the thing you should be doing.
It hurts. It feels like an actual bullet went through my chest. But
yeah,
I'm like, okay, now I gotta change. You know, I love that.
I love it after I go through it.
Yeah.
Looking back and like, wow, I'm so glad that happened. Like,
yeah. Like, I'm glad yeah.
I'm like, I don't like this feeling. Yeah. I'm not a fan of being called out. Nobody is.
Yeah, no, it is.
But obviously, I get what you're saying.
Like a preacher or like a worship leader will say something, and I'm like, oh Lord, thank you so much. That is so good.
Yeah. And I'm like, now I feel like crap about myself.
Yeah. Well, but then yeah.
But that's
the call to change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the bad feeling about it, is it really convicting?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Like if you're not feeling not bad, not that you need to feel like terrible about yourself. Nobody's saying like, but if you don't feel that kind of like,
yeah,
your heart sinks or like your stomach drops or something.
Like, and also you should probably feel like that every time you're in the presence of the Lord. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
But the presence of the Lord will bring up things about yourself that you're not going to like. And that's why a lot of people don't really care. I wouldn't say a lot of people, but I know a handful of people that don't really care for things that are super anointed, because when there's anointing, things tend to get brought up.
Yep.
And you're like, you know, things that happen in private will come up. The Lord will start to reveal things to you, and you're just like, it's not a great feeling, and a lot of people don't like it because of that.
Some people, because then people don't like things being brought up that they have to deal with. Nobody does. That's human nature.
Even me, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to work on this with the Lord. Yeah. We'll see about that. It's a horrible part. Like,
we'll see about
it's bad about me, but yeah.
No, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. It's something to address.
Yeah. What's something that's really convicted you lately?
Oh, wow. Hot take.
Yeah. What's
something that's really convicting me lately?
Yeah. Something that you heard that was like, wow, that's deep. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie. Last night, when we were talking about going back to your first love.
Yeah. Same. Same.
And it was like,
to give you a little background, our worship pastor.
Yeah, good one.
Our youth pastor, our youth leader, was talking about first love and just talking about consistency with the Lord and why you don't feel the fire that you used to feel. And so it was just bullet after bullet. I was like, oh, yes, Lord.
And it almost like it took me off guard because I was kind of in the zone on like Wednesdays. Like, I go to work, like I have my schedule, but like I go to work, I get a quick bite to eat, and then I'm like on my way to youth. And I was just like in the zone.
Yeah.
And then when we were talking about that, it like totally caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, like when that happens, I look like if you look at me from the outside, I look like I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm zoned out. Like, oh my gosh,
you're just reevaluating like everything. You're like, wow, wait, wow.
And the thing that really got me was the part about like thinking about your past in a sense that it's not like, oh, think about your past and like feel bad about yourself, but it's like think about your past as in like what he saved you from.
Yeah.
Like, think of that, because that is like a miracle.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
That was the part that got me.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was really good. I think we could all glean from Anna, which she is going to be in an episode eventually. In more than one episode. Because we got to talk about stuff.
We plan on it. We haven't.
We've
only asked her once.
Yeah. I've asked her like 3 times.
Oh.
But,
whatever.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah.
What about you? What's been convicting you?
Oh my goodness. Let's see here. I think one thing, I keep seeing this Instagram reel of Stephanie Gretzinger talking about your calling and how your calling, and this is like, I know this, but I keep forgetting it, and I'm just like, it's such a good reminder. And it's the one where she is talking about how your calling is not worship leading. Your calling is not.
I saw this. I think either you reposted it or showed it to me or something.
I probably did. Your calling is not, leading worship. Your calling is not being on the prayer team. Your calling is not to be a pastor. Your calling is to know him. Mm-hmm. And it's just as simple as that. Your calling is, what he calls you to do is to know him. Yeah. And to be intimate with him. And that's really all the Christian walk should look like. Yeah. And out of that, then comes the worship, then the positions. Then
follows the other things.
Yeah. And so I find myself trying to find satisfaction in what I'm doing for him instead of just doing it for him. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? And just being selfless about it, Oops. So that's something that's been convicting. I just, every time, like, it just keeps rolling around. I'm like, yes, just bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it on, as you usually do.
As one would.
Yeah.
No, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I saw that. You reposted. That actually got me thinking when you reposted it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Yeah, like, I never really, because usually you hear people like, oh, I found my calling. And it's not like, I'm not saying.
And
like,
it's not bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
But it's not.
And you could call it a calling on your life. Because what you're God anointed to do.
Like, have things
he gives you
ready
gifts
for you, and he wants. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I really like that. Stuff. I clicked on the you did repost, because I remember I clicked on the thing and then I was like, let me just watch the whole thing just for myself.
Yeah, I love stuff.
I really like
Stephanie's great. Yeah. Who is someone you really glean from when it comes to the Lord, and just them talking about the Lord is just like, it could be like a pastor, it could be a friend, just someone that you really glean from, kind of like a mentor almost, you know what I mean, in your life.
Huh.
Is it like a pastor?
Good question.
I don't know. Really, I love asking these questions.
I know you do.
Just so that the audience can get to know you, and so that I can get to know you more.
Wow. You know what? Actually, my in my high school, our campus ministry leader, or he had a lot of titles, because he basically runs all of the missions trips, retreats, things like that at the school. Mm-hmm. And he always did homeroom prayer and end of the day prayer. And the way that he went about it was so like peaceful, and almost you could tell that like he knew that this was his couple minutes to just like pray with everybody in the school without all of us being in the same room. Like, we'd all be in our classrooms and it'd just come over the PA. And just the way that he speaks.
It was just a piece of God on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just the way that he speaks of the Lord, and the way that he so I don't know how to describe it. It's just how he lives.
I
like
know.
Just his personality and everything relates back to the Lord for him.
You know that he's been intimate with the Lord.
Yes.
You know
everything relates back to the Lord for him.
Yeah. I mean, that's fruit right there.
Yeah.
Just the peace of God on someone's countenance. Mm-hmm. There's a couple people that I know that are just, they carry the mantle of his peace. Like, it's beautiful. It's really, like, just being around them, I'm just like, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Those people.
What about you? What are your...
Definitely our youth pastor.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely a youth pastor. Yes. I learned so much from her. I listened to that's someone I know in real life that really, you know,
which I feel like is very influential. Somebody in real life, in personal, like your life.
Yeah.
Very influential.
Very influential. Our worship pastor, I love talking to her about the Lord and just about ministry. It's awesome. I love her. I listen to Michael Koulianos.
Yes, I love him.
I love Michael.
I love him.
And his wife Jessica. Like, they're just wonderful. And they carry the peace. Mm-hmm. Like, it's So I learned a lot from them. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is so funny that we have not funny in the sense of like, haha, but like, we nowadays, social media, have such easy access to people who can be so
that literally live in Florida.
Maybe would have never known of these people ever if it wasn't for the fact that they had a camera on them and somebody posted it.
Right.
Or
I just saw someone's story, by chance. Yeah.
But things that they've said or things that they've preached about or things that they've done have had a great impact on your life. Yeah, for sure. I think probably another couple people that I gleaned from really a lot is Jeremy Riddle and probably Stephanie Gretzinger. Yeah. They're a wealth of wisdom. They're great. But yeah, I think really, and my mother. Yeah. For sure. She's got a lot to say. Yeah, it's wonderful. I know she has a lot to say. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big fan of what she has to say.
Yeah. She's a wealth of wisdom.
She is, and I haven't even talked to her that much personally.
I usually don't take her advice ever. Really, never.
Interesting. So how does that go about if she's such a...
But she proves me wrong every time.
And it's a good feeling of getting proved wrong because you know that it has... Yeah,
but I still just do my own thing.
You're just like, I'll take it from here.
Yeah. It's just your regular,
Yeah. Parent, kid,
I'm
not going to do what you say because it'd be weird if I did.
Yeah. It'd be cringy. It'd be cringy, mom.
Weird if I did what you asked of me.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll probably cut this out. Right?
Yeah.
The awkward silence.
Jesus Jams.
Oh, okay. Jesus Jams.
That was a good one.
Thank you, Mr. Producer.
Thank you, at J. Cole.
Yeah, at J.
Maybe they can hear me. What about Jesus Jams?
Jesus Jams. He just said Jesus Jams. I was like, absolutely. You first.
Okay. So, we are going to do this thing. I'm just going to explain what it is so that when, So Jesus Jams is a playlist that we're putting together. We are going to come every week with a worship song or maybe just a song from a Christian artist that's like really just, you've been listening to it a lot lately.
Yeah. Just really touching us.
Yeah. And I figured we could, say what that one is and like kind of why we like it or whatever. And then add it to a playlist that is available to everybody watching. And literally title it Jesus Jams.
Yeah.
That way it's, for people who, obviously, we might come with songs that are very generic or heard around everything, like Rattle by Elevation, or like songs that maybe some people don't know, or just to give a little insight of like what music gets us in a prayerful setting, in
a worshipful.
Yeah, like just what music connects with us.
Yeah.
So on that note,
what's
your song?
Me? Oh gosh, I have like 3 at the moment, but it's hard to choose. I'd have to say I'm kind of in a season right now of just gratitude for what he's done. Mm-hmm. And you played it before we started.
Yes.
Oh gosh, what's it called? I can't.
This is how I think.
Yeah, this is how I thank the Lord. Is that the name of it? It seems the title seems so long.
I know.
I was like, thank the Lord. Yeah. This is how.
No, I'm pretty sure it's literally just called "This Is How I Thank the Lord" or something along those lines.
And if we're wrong, we'd look so stupid. But
if I feel like you could still like if you're wanting to listen to it, you definitely could.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the Lord's been really taking me through like a season, or maybe just a few weeks of just like. Kind of like communion, kind of just like realizing what his blood and his body did for us. So
that is what's funny about that is I love that song and I listen to it all the time.
Like
never get sick of it.
All the time.
And that is in my top rotation
Even
right now.
Even if I'm not like in a season like that, I'll still just
it's always, it will never get old.
Yes, it will.
It's one of those.
It's one of those songs.
It just is.
I'm not gonna go spewing of it. Well, maybe we should.
But we were just talking about how it's one of those songs that you can either witness us sobbing to or like jumping up and down and like being so thankful and so happy.
It's such an emotional song.
It's great.
I think there's just a couple songs for sure in my life that like mark a season that I was in and they never get old. I think Lamb This Is How I Thank the Lord. You Saved Me, and I think another one that's really like King of My Heart will never ever get old.
Oh, I can't even begin on that song. I know that song. I have a story about that song.
Okay, you want to go into it?
Well, not necessarily like a specific story, but basically when I first came to really know the Lord, that song I had never heard it before, or at least I didn't know it necessarily. Right. Maybe I had heard it before, but I didn't know exactly what song it was. And I was in study hall junior year, and it came up on my shuffle on YouTube because I was just listening to music. And I just usually when I don't know a song, like I just skip it. But then for some reason, I just didn't skip this one. Mm-hmm. And it played all the way through. And I remember sitting in study hall, literally just like looking at my iPad, and I'm not kidding, like I had to wipe some tears away. Like I was embarrassed. I was awesome. Like, people probably think I'm watching like sad video, but I was just sitting there like listening to the lyrics.
Yeah.
And probably for 2 months after that, the only song I listened to.
I think that song, there's songs that you can tell came out of a really like special place. Mm-hmm. The songwriter, and also it was just inspired by the Lord. Yeah. Like there's just
we were talking like how you can tell, especially when you can hear it in the singing. Mm-hmm. It's like
the passion
and the love for God behind it.
Yeah, even if they're not like
doing runs up and down with their vocal.
Even if they're not the most, talented person, or even, the most anointed person, the passion alone will just make me like, oh my goodness, I'll just cry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that song
Yeah. Every time it comes on, I'm just like wiping away rivers off my face. Yeah.
This is a recent song, and I don't know, I posted about this on my separate account on Instagram. It's not necessarily, and we'll get to this maybe in a couple episodes. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily a worship song, but it's Corey Asbury's new song. And it's called Kind.
Oh, I don't think I've heard it.
Listen to it, because here's my take on it. Okay. I love it. And not that like I don't like him as a whatever, but not every song that he comes out with am I like crazy obsessed with.
Right.
And honestly, I haven't really listened to him since like Reckless Love, I'm gonna be honest.
Honestly, same
I've listened to a couple here and there, and I do really like them, like Canyons and stuff like that. Yeah. But I didn't even follow him on. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I like one of them is like Homecoming. Oh, that song.
Yeah.
Homecoming.
That song. That's on the TikTok. Go check out.
Yeah, go check it out. By the way, go check it out.
I didn't even follow him on TikTok, and it came up just because of like your phone reads your mind.
Actually,
it came up of him just doing like an acoustic version of this, and I listened to the lyrics and I was like, wow. Is that out yet?
Acoustic versions always do it for me.
It was like in a stairwell too.
Yes,
of course.
Yeah.
And it was just like the chorus, and I was like, "Wow, that's really good." I wonder like what the rest of the song sounds like. Of course, I go to click, and it's like pre-save my song that's coming out on Friday. So I was like, "Cool, I have to wait a couple days."
Yeah, I hate that.
Came out the other day, probably last Friday, and it is such an honest. It's like a brutally honest song. The song, it's almost like scary, because especially coming from someone like him who is known for Christian music, who is known for, some of these songs that are so
again, it's like transparency.
Exactly. It's real people being real. For real, it is. And it is such now, when I say brutally honest, I mean, you'll know exactly what I mean when you listen to the first two lines of it. But it is so good. It is so, it's not that I'm worshiping necessarily when I'm listening to it, but it's almost like I'm in a setting of like, just being so honest with God. I'm like, this song almost like puts words in my mouth that I wish I could tell you. Like, I wish I could be honest
with you
about.
I think God also really gave us the gift of music, because music really will organize your thoughts. Like it really, if you put something to music, it really I just think that's probably one of the reasons why God gave us music is really just to organize our thoughts towards him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it is such a gift.
Yeah.
I know for sure that, bear with me, I've tried to play the guitar plenty of times. I know probably
Same.
Riptide by Vance Joy, and that's about it. And even if I did that, it would not be super great.
Yeah.
So I can't really play instruments that well, but my mom's side of the family is very musical, and they all play instruments.
Inclined. It's always
Yes, and my mom has a great voice. Oh my gosh. And they love to tell me that I have a good voice too. Will I ever believe it?
Which you
Probably
do,
not.
because I've heard her. I've heard you like, we tried to harmonize a little bit. I was like, oh, pop off
wow.
Emerson.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was a slay.
It's like and even though I'm not like hoping to be some pop star, because I feel like typically that's the feeling that only people who are musical have.
Yeah.
I just feel such a connection when it's put to like a melody or like like when it's just something, when it's like, it's so beautiful. I can't even put it into words, which is why I think it's such a blessing from God, because you can't put that into words.
Right. It's just wonderful when you hear a song that it's like, oh my word, this was perfect for me. It really is a gift from God.
It gives you the words that you didn't think to say. Or you
it's just
can't
the Lord
with.
giving you a resource, to connect with him. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another one of those songs for me is On the Altar by Upper Room.
Yes, I love that song.
The words, it is literally the definition of worship, which we'll get into.
That is an upcoming episode.
That's one we got to talk about.
We're very passionate about
we're
that.
We're very passionate about.
We didn't
worship.
even know we were passionate about it until some random conversation at Young Adults one night.
At Young Adults, yeah. For real. But that one is just literally the definition of worship, and it's just simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, music is a resource.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great almost transition into kind of what I was gonna try to bring up, is the fact that like when this podcast idea first got brought up by at Mr. Gabe J. Cole, it was us having a conversation at Young Adults, you and me, you and I, whatever the correct way of saying that is.
I don't care.
I knew that once I say something, somebody's gonna comment or somebody's gonna say something. We were having a conversation. I don't even know what we were talking. We were talking about a lot of things. We literally were just like, what's our topic for today?
Like,
because we love to have those discussions.
Yes.
And we got into something. I don't even know what it was. And Gabe came up and was like, wow, every time I come up to you guys, like, you're always in some like in-depth conversation that nobody, like, you really have to be here from the start to understand like what we're talking about. Yeah,
you cannot just jump into it.
Not because we're so like, we're not because we're using this absurd language or anything.
Yeah, it's just like
we're
you
so
just walked into
it,
something.
Don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys should totally start a podcast.
And we were like,
and we laughed at it at first. And then we were like,
wait, actually.
Good point.
That's actually a really good idea.
You know, since you brought it up. So yeah, that was and then turns out it is a resource to reach people.
Yeah, and I love like kind of explain like, and I think your heart behind this is the same as your own page on Instagram. Like, just explain, like you were telling me the other day, like the resources and stuff like that. Your heart behind that.
Yeah, well, because it's not like I'm not personally super passionate about Instagram or Twitter or anything. It's not that I'm passionate about the social media. You're not like an influencer. No, I'm passionate about the message that's being put out there on those platforms. Yeah. And social media is a huge, huge part of society today. Yeah. And that can sometimes turn into a bad thing because anybody can put anything on social media.
For real.
And it can be a really toxic, negative place. But at the same time, a lot of people get their information from there. A lot of people get influenced by it. Yeah. Why not put good things on there? Right. The gospel, like the message of Jesus. Why not put that on there? Right. And like, I think you've said this plenty of times. It's like, and Gabe has said this too. you might be the only Jesus that somebody sees, and it's not. Yes. I might be it, but maybe a repost that I make, or a verse of the day that I do is the only thing that reaches somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm passionate about what gets put out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is why I'm so big about like using our resources,
right,
which is social media.
Right. And that's kind of your same heart behind this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like I'm pretty much on the same page. You explained that to me and I was like, yes, I want to hop on board that train. Let's go. Yeah. I love that. No, I can,
because, well, especially you, the minute that we met, or not met, but like first got started like talking and like becoming
our friendship
friends.
Actually first. Yeah.
I knew that, I'm not even kidding. I was like, wow, he's really like insightful. Like he could do a like podcast or something.
Oh,
like I'm not even kidding.
Was that prophetic?
Or like he could totally be one of those people that like just, he has so much to say, and so like you're very much into the word. You're very much in touch with your relationship.
I'm very opinionated. Yeah.
That as well. But that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad
thing. I feel
like
when people are like, "Oh, you're so opinionated," it comes off as
right.
That, but I don't mean that like you.
Love that. Okay, Sly. All right, back to what we were talking about. We were talking about our friendship or something like that. I don't even know.
We were. Mm-hmm. Which is I was just saying how you're very much I knew that this is gonna sound like it was scripted, but I knew that you were real. Like I knew that you were a real person being real. Now that I have the words to say it, it's like I didn't at all when I first met you, or even after I met you and we didn't like have conversations like we do now. It's like I totally know. I was like, yeah, he's real. He doesn't just put on this show of like, oh, like I know all this and I'm passionate about this. Because unfortunately, you can come by that in society now.
Yeah.
Especially in
everyone has their own truth. Everyone's so passionate about their opinions. Yeah. And unfortunately, I'm really I'm very opinionated. There's not one thing that I don't have an opinion on. There's no gray area.
Really?
Like there's no gray area.
Well, I'm excited to explore this no gray area.
Yeah, like I literally like it's just so funny. I don't know why I'm like that. I've just always had an opinion. Not to sound like, like it's just like
no, I get what you're saying. But
it's kind of the bad thing about me, honestly. Like it can honestly be a con. It can because I'm like, nope, my opinion.
Well, sometimes I don't have an opinion about anything, and that can be a con.
Can't relate.
Can't relate.
Yeah. But yeah, and I knew when I met you, I don't even.
You don't have to Ava, come back with
I don't know. It was. Or no, it was.
You don't have to come
I
back
think
with
it was a worship night, Wednesday worship night, that I really like noticed like, oh, there's like someone new. Like I need to get to know them a little bit. It was like, I knew you were really like open, and not in like the unhealthy open, like, oh, I'm really open to anything.
Yeah.
But I knew that you were kind of like, just ready for more. I don't know why. It's just that vibe. I was just like.
Well, you're right on the spot, because I was
I
was starving.
Yeah.
My stomach was grumbling for more. I was ready.
Yeah, and I just literally like, almost in the spirit, I almost saw like a sponge, just like absorbing all this truth. And I knew that you had a filter, that like you didn't just believe everything you heard. Like I knew, but yeah.
Oh, that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you walk into a new place, and not even like new place, but when you are vulnerable in a sense where like I don't know everybody.
Right.
And I knew some people, I think of this, around this time that we first started like becoming friends or knowing each other, getting to know each other. I knew people. I had kind of like my friends here, my friends there, but I didn't know everybody, and that's very different for me because I've always known everybody.
Going to a new church is always like scariest thing.
So then
scary.
I guess I was more worried about coming off.
Right.
Like, don't talk to me, don't this, don't that. But really I was also just so like focused on like, okay, like God, do whatever you got to do. Like you led me here. I walked into this alone. Yeah. I didn't come here with like a friend or anything.
Really?
When I first came to youth group,
Well, who was your invite?
Sam Dixon.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He invited me. We were at Lori's house.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he came over. We were having like family dinner, and Presley had something wrong with her truck. And all of a sudden, and she was like, oh no.
Sam's like, boom, boom.
And she texted him asking like, hey, when's the soonest you think? And he was like, oh, I'm free right now. Where are you at? Like, I can just come and he was very like, yeah, let's do it right now. And it was something really simple. It was very whatever. And we got to talking, and he had invited me. I think he had brought it up a couple times, but this was the first like in my face, like, hey, I am inviting you. Like, instead of just like, hey, like, I'm going to talk about this until you get interested. Like, and then
he's very like that. He's like, you should come. Actually, you are coming.
You are. Yeah. And I totally, bad part about me, I totally didn't come, knowing that it was on Wednesday at 7 for about a month, because I let the fear of, something new, something, whatever, even though I knew I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because I was already, before that invite, searching for somewhere, for something, going with my friends to this group, with my friends to this one.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to talk about where we're at. I know we talked about earlier before we started this, we were like, let's just let people get to know us.
Yeah.
So mine probably isn't as, I know you've got like really good stuff. I'll just get into mine real fast.
Yeah, you do.
Is that, I kind of, I grew up in a like Christian, like I've always believed, like my family, I've always believed in, they're like very, not Pentecostal, but kind of, I mean, that we believed in tongues, we believed in praying, and we believed in the gospel, just like very, what is the other word? Not Pentecostal, but not open Bible. What is open Bible?
I get where you're
evangelistic.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
We believed in the Gospels. We believed in Jesus. And then my mom went to a church. We were going to a church this church, like a sister church or a daughter church, whatever you call that, from this church. So then we came here for a short time, and then we went to another one in Toledo.
Okay.
For like 7 years or something like that.
Wow.
7 years. And it was and it wasn't dry for my parents. They were getting so much revelation there. They were being fed, but I wasn't. It was like way beyond me. And it was just like deeper, and I couldn't catch up. You know what I mean? And so, which nothing bad about that church. That church is amazing. But when I came here, because of the youth group that was happening, my cousins were like, wow, like the Spirit is moving in our youth group. And so I went there, and I was like, wow, this is feeding me. This is like at a level where I was kind of,
you can catch up.
I can catch up. And I was like, wow, this is like alive. This is like kind of the way you felt coming here at first. It was just like, oh my word, there was so much truth. Our youth pastor was just spitting out she was great. And, so that's kind of like how I started coming here. My parents were like, okay, like we've been here a long time at our old church, but we need to go somewhere where our kids are being fed. Because now, like, they came to the realization that we are at a place where we can grow without that type of community. And so they were like, okay, we're just going to be selfless and do this for the kids. So they did. And now we're here. And that's coming to the youth group. That's when I really came alive in my walk with God.
Okay.
That's when it became personal. That's when, how as a kid, you're like, am I really going to heaven? Do I really have a relationship with God?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
The confidence isn't there. And you really, that's when I feel like I was like spiritually baptized. That's when
I was going to ask that. Like, when was do you have a moment where you were like, this was it? Or like maybe even like an age where you were like, that was the age that I was saved. Like I was changed.
I just always grew up knowing about God. Yeah. But I didn't know him. Yeah. And his presence and his character and the way he works and his thoughts about me until personal. When it became personal, is when I started. It was about 2 weeks coming to the youth group that's here. And it just, yeah. So, and now it just, and then Anna, she knows where you're at spiritually, and she'll just keep throwing more conviction and more conviction. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my thing. Yeah. I kind of always grew up knowing about, the Pentecostal.
You were brought up in the faith.
In the faith. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a huge transformation. It wasn't, but
sometimes, I mean, that is not, I feel like that's another, sometimes.
Yeah.
Not because you are transformed when you come to know Jesus, but I feel like sometimes, kind of like how we were talking before we even started filming, the romanticizing of Christianity or that kind of thing, like needing some epic story, needing some like this.
Yeah, like I was a drug addict and I had a dream.
Which isn't that at all. Like that is real life. Some people go from like, and they take amazing. A whole 180, and that's
every great, time I hear a story like that, I cry. I'm like, Lord, you are so good.
But that doesn't need to happen for everybody. Yeah. And the same on fire feeling and transformation you get in that situation is the same that somebody like you could get where you were brought up in the faith and you were you just needed something you needed that just little push. And you still totally like transformed.
Like I was like, I think also another part of like knowing for me is when I was confident to raise my hands, because I wasn't doing it out of like, okay, well, everyone else my age is doing it. Maybe I should. My parents are, but like that's when you start doing it out of love, not religion. That was kind of the mark when I was like, Lord, I don't care.
I don't care.
Because now I know you and I'm doing it for you.
The only thing that matters is you.
Before it was for people and now it's for you. You know what I mean?
I totally get that.
Before it was for a feeling, now it's out of a relationship and a place of love.
Like the only way I know how to express my like admiration, my praise, like I was my love for you is like,
I get it. Yeah. So
yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Oops. But what about you?
Me? How I started coming here? All that good stuff.
Your relationship with God, when it really
I mean, I was born and raised Catholic. That's me putting in the little icebreaker. Went to Catholic school my whole life. Like nobody knows that. I am that girl that went to
fun fact about you.
So yeah, everybody else is doing stuff that nobody knew about them. Some abstract story of how they
yours?
Like. Mine literally said went to Catholic school my whole life.
Everyone was like.
Everybody, but I almost was like, I was almost testing it as if like, does everybody know me that well? Like, and then it made me feel good when everybody was like, no, that is you. And I was like, yeah.
And it wasn't like the two others that went to Catholic school. We just knew that was something.
Yeah, it wasn't the two other people that have gone to school with me my whole life. But yeah, my mom was, I don't know why I situated myself like that. I don't like it. My mom was Baptist and her whole side of the family is like very Southern Baptist. My grandma is very in touch with her faith. I can't believe I didn't even mention her when you asked me that question earlier. She's great. My dad's family was Catholic. So then my mom converted so that they could have like a Catholic marriage and all that and they'd be recognized in that church. So yeah, I just was Catholic my whole life. Never went to public school. Don't think I've ever been to public school for school.
Yeah.
So I just was always in an environment of prayer, church. Like it was always, God was in everything. But which is like totally from the outside, it's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's so great.
Right.
Unfortunately, I didn't appreciate it until later in my life because it was so normal to me,
Right.
And it just totally, I think the other thing is that not only did it get so normal to me, I definitely went through a solid handful of years where like my life was very much changing. My life was very much full of, in my eyes, more negative than good at all.
Okay, yeah.
And so I did fall into the area of, I don't know if I believe in anything. I don't know if I totally fell into the well, there's totally not like a God if this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this happened, I don't think, like if he was real, I don't think this would happen. Or,
right.
But that mindset.
Yeah, I actually, I do believe, I'm pretty sure I did go through a phase at like, let's say, I think it was like 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
I was starting to get like brainwashed by like evolution at like public school. It was like, you know, it was like, and I was like, oh, well then, you know, I was trying to fit God into like the natural way of seeing the world. And I was like, how does that work? Yeah, I was kind of in that. I think we all, it was just like, well, I don't know if I actually believe in.
It's the shift of when you're a kid and when you start to shift into like your teenage years or like even like a 12, 13 type deal. And that's when either A, like you said, like you start to understand the world a little bit more and you're totally like you start thinking for yourself a little bit. So then you're like, I think I believe this actually.
Yeah.
But then there's also at least for me, a lot of I didn't have change in my life until, I'm not even kidding, I say this all the time, I don't think my life had a big change in it until I was 13 and my parents got a divorce.
Okay.
So then like, obviously then I was like in teenage years or whatever. But yeah, and then from there until about sophomore year, I won't even go on because that's a story for another time.
Save that for another episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But basically it was full of a lot of hardships, a lot of very much Satan was after me for sure. He totally saw an opportunity of like, she's weak right now. I'm
vulnerable.
Yeah. So that, and all the while I'm still going to a Catholic school. I'm still very much going to church, whatever, but I was just going through the motions. Totally did not.
Yeah.
Wasn't even paying attention.
And I would say I was probably doing that probably at our old church. Nothing against that church. Like it was, the spirit was moving. Looking back at it now, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I would have only paid attention a little bit, the spirit was there. I just, I didn't recognize it. And so I would say I was probably going through the motions too. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, 16 years old, junior retreat. It's called Kairos, which I don't know in what language. I'm going to sound really uneducated right now. But
Kairos.
Greek. Yes, I think it is.
Probably Greek.
Kairos literally means God's time. And it's a retreat that my school puts on. Changed my life. Totally changed my life. And I will say that for probably the rest of my life. Because
it was like a turning point.
Yes. If somebody were to be like, Emerson, when'd you get saved? I'd say K27. Kairos 27. I was 16 years old. I walked in that retreat totally thinking this just looks good because like next year I'm going to be a leader at it because like if you go the year before you're allowed, there's this whole thing. And walked out totally changed, wrecked, totally just different person. Yeah. And from that point on, I was searching for what I found here.
Awesome.
And then obviously I got invited and I was nervous.
Yeah.
But I
would be too, because literally our church is made up of like family. It's like
I was like, okay, I'm not related to anybody.
I'm like
here.
related to 50%, and it's like our church isn't small, so there's a lot of family that comes here.
I was like, I know people.
I feel bad for the people that don't know anyone because it's like it's so scary.
I was like, does it count if I know them? I'm not related, and neither is Gabe.
Yeah. So I think we'll wrap up here. This has been really good. I'm looking forward to next week.
Yes, sir.
If you guys don't already know, we meet at Movement Toledo meets at New Life, Michigan, Petersburg, at 7. So you wanna.
Yep. And for constant updates, all of our social medias are Movement Toledo, and we update on meetings, times, events, everything. And our DMs are always open for any questions and details.
All right. Perfect.
Is that real people being real?